Welcome to My Favorite CX, a podcast that celebrates exceptional customer experiences. To listen to today's, please choose from one of the following options.
Welcome to My Favorite Customer Experience podcast. This is a podcast from Holt CX Consultancy. I'm Chris Holt. I'm a CX consultant with a number of years in the business, but I wanted to put together a podcast where we talk about some positivity in the customer experience world. And I'm joined today by James Parkin from Ellison Coast. James, welcome to My Favorite Customer Experience.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, this is exciting. I know we've spoken many times in the past, but I love taking part in these things. And I think the concept of this is something different, right? As you say, share a bit of positivity.
Yeah, so let's first talk about, before we get on to your favorite customer experience, let's talk about what you do. So what is it that you do in and around the CX business? And then let's talk about maybe what excites you.
Yeah, so for those that don't know me, I've worked in and around the CX market for just over a decade, and but in the recent history, in the last 4 weeks, I set up my own business, which is called Ellison Coast, and it's really a variety of services, again focused on the CX marketplace around training, people, engagement, and sales. So it's something that I believe in quite firmly, which is a skills-based, purpose-led approach to career. So taking all the things that I have done and can do for employers and individuals in the CX space and trying to add as much value as possible, rather than say purely being defined as a recruiter, which I have been for as I say, over a decade. Not that there's anything wrong with that, by the way, but I think there's the contingent world has changed, and actually that I guess really neatly connects me on to your second question about what excites me. It's the nature of change in the CX marketplace. It is dealing with a human problem, and as humans we are constantly changing the ways that we want to do things, whether that's because we're being presented with options, or whether we're breaking systems, or whether we're just for some societal reason deciding we want to do things in a different way, whether we want to engage with brands and organizations through certain channels for certain things, whether the way that we're interacting with channels is then dictating our wishes to do things a certain way. Culturally in different parts of the world it varies, and I think that makes it a really dynamic technology and services marketplace, and as someone that's a supplier to that keeps you learning, and that for me is what really excites me about any of the conversations I have with anyone in the space, and why we all do this, really.
I think that's the key as well, that lifelong learning and always having something. Within customer experience, there's so much change now that if you rely on what you knew even a year ago, then you're already out of date. So I think there's so much opportunity to keep looking and exploring and finding something that excites you.
And we're a sector that is, I think, affected to a greater degree by huge societal events than necessarily other areas of technology. Again, fairly recent history, the lockdown period, that was a boom period from a recruitment point of view, because obviously everyone had to start working remotely, and therefore those cloud-based contact center solutions went through the roof, and therefore the demand for people went up really highly. But that then spurred results, which spurred R&D, which is driving where we are now in terms of the rapid integration of generative AI technology into our marketplace. And we're probably at the forefront of that, right? I mean, regulatory and compliance people and cybersecurity people might disagree with that, but I from what I know, I think we are probably at the forefront of that, and we're certainly a sector that is looking at ways of utilizing current technology as innovatively as possible. And again, who knows what comes next, whether it be leadership changes and policy direction, say in North America or here in the UK or in France or in Germany. We're seeing so much societal change, and it all then has that knock-on impact to how we conduct our business. So if you want to work in a space that is challenging, is interesting, gives your career longevity because of the change, I think it's pretty hard to compete with CX. And I say that as someone that, I've been in recruitment for 20 years. So the first half of my career was spent in other spaces. And I just don't really think they hold much of a candle to what we do now.
I think as well, we're a sector that when things change in the consumer world, it impacts the CX world
Mm.
because standards change, what people want change. So if we think back to the pandemic, video became massive. Everyone became consumers of video and using video to communicate as well. And I think to contact centers before the pandemic, there were maybe a handful that were doing a little bit on video, and it was a bit exploratory. Um, but now you see video as a channel, and you see social as a channel, and people want to contact with either which way that is possible as a consumer. That's where the expectation is. It's almost like that Amazonification, of customer experience of, well, why
Yeah.
can't I have it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Why can't I have what I experience in a consumer life? Why can't I chat to a business on WhatsApp? Why can't I video when I need some help? Why can't I share a screen? So I think that drives demand in the CX world as well.
Yeah, I think there's huge value in, it's something like Amazon is a great example because a lot of, if we view what we do as a technology sector, which let's be fair, it's driven by people and technology. Then if you compare CX to a lot of other sectors, they're quite abstract. If I'm talking to somebody about financial services, payment systems, cybersecurity, software development, and it could be huge systems like make tax digital. It could be the NHS, digitalization program. But even so, what's going on behind the scenes is quite abstract. When you talk to, the every person, all of us about, well, a CX platform does this, it does that. When you respond to that bot, when you put a message on Twitter or X, so you can tell I'm old there, and mind you, there is a camera on, and then someone comes back to you and says, hey, we saw your message, we can handle that response. That is all CX, and people start to go, oh, I get what you're talking about. There's enormous value in the relatability of what we do as a sector, not just from the point of view again of career development, and that is obviously my perspective on this, but you see CX startups get proportionally more investment than other businesses, probably with the exception of cybersecurity. And I do mention them quite a lot because I think there are parallels. Again, the human element, humans deliberately trying to break things. But they get a lot of investment because when you sit in front of PE and VC firms and you say, this is the process you currently go through, we can resolve this faster or better, we can fix this, we can sell more. They put their money out because they can understand it. And that's not to say that no, those people are in any way, shape or form naive. I just think it's an easier sell than, we're going to revolutionize something that happens behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I talk to businesses about saving time and money now, not technology.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that maybe brings us on to maybe talking about one of your favorite customer experiences recently. So what we wanted to do was talk about, shed some positivity on the world of customer experience. We can always, when I do workshops, people can always tell me a bad customer experience. In fact, they can go on for quite a way. But trying to think about a good customer experience. So I'm going to ask you, what was that customer experience? What made it exceptional? But also how it made you feel. Did it change your behaviors? I'd be really intrigued.
Yeah. Can I give are you okay for me to say a company name as well as it's a positive?
I mean, we're talking about positives, aren't we? So yeah, absolutely.
They won't mind. So I'll give you, it's funny enough, when we started talking about your new podcast, and I think, as I said earlier on, it's a brilliant idea for the reasons you just mentioned. I'd recently had a great experience, so it timed brilliantly. So AO.com, I'm giving you a shout out on this. So the electricity reset in my house because I was having some building work done, and I have a NEF oven. When I went over to reset the clock, I opened and shut the door, and it said door still open. It obviously wasn't, and it kept saying this, and I thought, what's wrong? Do a bit of a Google search, can't really find much resolution on that. Thought, where did I buy it from? AO.com. I know it's a long time ago. I'm not really expecting anything. But if I don't phone them, when I tell my wife, who's working in her office in the garden, what's happened and what I'm doing to resolve it, she will say, have you phoned where we bought it from? And I normally say, no, because it was too long ago. And I've been known to be wrong in the past. So I thought, right, I'm going to phone them. So I phoned AO.com with no expectation. I thought they were going to say, look, it's 3.5 years ago. It's really out of our hands. Could not have been more wrong. They said, right, Yep, we found it. We found where you purchased it and when you purchased it. Yep, it's 3.5 years ago. Yep, the product warranty on it is 2 years. Okay, fine. If they'd have left it at that, I'd have been impressed with their data and off I'd have gone. But the chap said, actually, we've got two ways in which we could help you. We can either go and speak to the manufacturer for you, try and find out what the solution is, and then I'll give you a call back, maybe with them on the phone, and we'll see if together we can address it. Or we'll find an engineer that will come out and fix it for you, and we'd like to pay something towards that cost. Now, as it is, we resolved it with the phone call, and actually it's something that does happen. So anyone that's got a Neff oven, if your fuse board flicks, just keep fiddling with the door close switch, like literally endlessly for a minute, and then eventually when you shut it, it resets itself. It's fine, but it doesn't like having a complete electrical shutdown, apparently. But they didn't need to do any of that. And here's the thing, going back to what you were saying and how you posed this, if that hadn't happened, and someone had said, oh, where would you recommend to buy an oven from? I might have gone, oh, I think we bought ours from AO.com. That would have been it. But I would have needed the reason to say that. With that situation, I reckon I've told 15 or 20 people that situation. Number one, because I work in CX, but just because of how impressed I was. And yes, the agent was excellent, and I can't remember his name, but it's a real bit, he was excellent. But also, you could tell through the way he structured it that he was empowered to offer those solutions. His systems were clearly connected up so that he was able to speak to other people seamlessly. It was just a smooth, top experience. And I know AO.com get called out for great CX quite often, actually. But that, for me, really stood out as someone that, when you know what's going on behind the curtain with the agents, it's just all that more impressive. It's like if someone sells to me, and as a salesperson, I respect a great sales process. I always just enjoy it, even if I luxuriate in it. Even if I'm not going to buy it, I just think that's beautiful, 10 out of 10. But for me, that was top work from AO.com. Absolutely fantastic.
Brilliant. So you went in with low expectations because of the age of what you had, and they not only resolved it, even though they didn't have to, but you've now become an advocate for their brand. I mean, I'm quite aware of the AO CX story because I remember it doing the rounds at various expos in the last few years. But you have to maintain that, and you have to keep striving to do more. And I don't remember that being part of the story. It was all around that delivery story and that cycle of where a customer is. But to be able to work with a customer that is 3.5 years since that purchase and be able to affect that level of emotion and positive feeling on you, because it could have been really easy, to go onto X and say, oh, had a crap experience, but instead it's a positive experience here. If you work at AO and you know who helped Mr. Parkin here on whatever day it was, then we'd love to send a bottle of champagne or something to that agent, because it sounds like they did a great job for your brand. But James, let's leave this with where can people find more about you if they want to learn more?
Absolutely. So if you want to go and find out what I'm doing from a business perspective, go and take a look on LinkedIn, Ellison Coast, or you can find me myself, James Parkin. Otherwise, I've interviewed this fine man in the past as well, amongst other CX experts, as part of my YouTube channel, which is the CX Update on YouTube, and you can go and find me over there as well for CX content, and also content about career development and how to use LinkedIn effectively and things like that. And I'm a subscriber to the Holt CX podcast as well, so you can also find Chris's stuff via there as well.
Awesome. We'll put some QR codes up as well there so people can see what's going on. And once I figure out how to do show notes, we'll put a link in the show notes as well. So James, thank you very much for telling us all about your favorite customer experience.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to My Favorite CX. Your listenership is important to us. On your keypad, please press a number between 1 and 5 to rank how much you've enjoyed your experience.